What a world we live in.
I love it.
I don't...
There's no segue from that.
No, I mean, I had one, but I'm like, I'm not going to try to segue it. We're just going to go forward.
Changing topics.
Come on and visit for any occasion. So keep patting down waiting, comics and conversation. Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers. And now, here are Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
You know, I really enjoy this recent change in schedule to where we're recording on Thursdays.
Is it permanent?
It can't be.
No?
Next week completely throws it off the rails.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, you could just record with somebody else on Thursday.
I mean, yeah, you'll be watching Avengers like 10 times in a row, so you're unavailable.
10 times in a row.
Right.
30 straight hours.
30 straight hours, yeah. Yeah, that'll be exciting. Speaking of Avengers, thank you for getting me that Captain America Avengers Endgame pop vinyl.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's a little bit annoying, but for the first time that I can recall, we've gotten an entire wave of Funko Pops at one time.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's a wave of 11 separate figures.
11.
And unfortunately, and this was not a thing that I was aware of at the time we ordered, because as you all know, I was keeping away from any type of spoilers or imagery. Mm-hmm. They're almost all just in that Avengers tracksuit thing. It's not a tracksuit, but that's what I'm calling it.
Yeah, War Machine, Hawkeye, and Thanos are not, but everybody else
Captain Marvel.
And Captain Marvel, that's right. But the other 7 are all in their space gear or whatever it is.
And can I just say how disappointed I am? He's not even holding a shield.
Yeah, Cap don't come with a shield. He's sculpted to come with a shield.
Yeah, he's in a shield-holding pose. And you could say, well, he didn't have a shield in the last movie. Yeah, but the action figure, the Marvel Legend that came out last week, had his classic red disc shield.
And I think we're all pretty certain he's going to have a shield in this movie.
Yeah, right? And not that...
pretty much a given.
Not that thing he got last time. Really didn't like that shield.
The Wakanda shield?
Yeah. The two-piece whatever. Mm-hmm. Didn't care for it. But it's just about time for all of those toys and things to...
God damn this creaking chair.
To come out.
So weird.
And I don't have to worry about spoilers, but I will for a little bit, because I don't know when I'm seeing this movie.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny how when you go out of your way to see a movie, like, I don't know, a Hellboy.
Sure.
Nobody asks you about it. Nobody comes in and wants to talk about it at the store.
Yeah.
But when you don't see a movie, I can just imagine how many questions I'm going to get.
Yeah, I can completely understand why people would not be asking questions about Hellboy, because it's not a movie worth talking about. Most people didn't even seem to know it was coming out. And the ones that did either saw it and didn't want to talk about it because it's boring, or didn't really want to see it because it looked kind of boring.
Patron Joy has asked if we'll ever do another bonus Patreon-only episode.
Uh-huh.
And I feel like we can... do one about Shazam and Hellboy.
Uh-huh.
But it's not a question of, do we want to? It's a question of, there's no time.
Yeah.
There's so little time to get this done. And, Joy, I'm not saying no. I want us to do more of those things,
sure.
But I don't know when. In fact, this weekend is all taken up because I'm very far behind in the June orders, as in I have not started them. Mm-hmm. And normally at this point I'm done.
Yeah, they're due next Thursday, I think.
And they're due. And it's a busy week coming up, a busy couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if we'll ever, get to a specific Hellboy Shazam podcast. But I feel that's the easiest one to do.
Yeah, possibly. I think it's more just, I like doing them when they're fresh in the head.
Yeah, okay.
It's a little, the way I looked at episodes like that, and the reason I usually want to do them, is because it's a way to just kind of dump all that stuff out of my brain. To have a place where I can just, articulate those thoughts and get rid of it, and then kind of move on. So we've talked, you and I, and then with people in the store as well, about Shazam and Hellboy, that I feel like I would just be rehashing all the things that I've already thought about and said and whatever. Which is, obviously the people who are probably listening to that podcast were not part of those conversations, so it's all new for them, I hope. But I find it less interesting to do.
And according to box office records, none of them saw Hellboy.
Rightly so. Wisely.
I don't know. Maybe we could do a special, here's a quick rundown of this year's free comic book day comics or something.
Maybe.
But I'm not, I mean...
It's all up to your schedule.
It has to be organic. It can't be a thing that we mark down weeks in advance and then dread it and then be like, oh, it's extra this. The problem
I don't dread it. Bonus episodes are nothing to me because I just have to sit down for another 30 to 45 minutes.
Yeah, and see, that's just it. You want to do those immediately after recording an episode, and all I can think about is how much work I have to do for the episode we just recorded.
Right. Yeah.
And then we always say, fine, we'll do a movie review one, it'll be like 20 minutes, and it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah. Patron Joy, I want it to be known that the last few Marvel movies, mostly in 2018, after almost everyone, I'm like, hey, we should talk about that. And Patrick's like, I really don't want to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Dal is completely exonerated on that.
But yeah, as stated, I don't have to really do much extra. Patrick has to do a ton of extra work to make those extra episodes happen. It's basically doubling his workload for the week for the podcast.
Yeah. And I'd like to. I have so many lofty expectations of things I want to do with this podcast, and I've done none of them. Mm-hmm. And there's a list of things I want to get to and things I want to do and, liven it up, make it a little bit special, But I haven't, so
sure.
I should just stop talking about it. I want to thank you for always wasting wasting's the wrong word, but having to sacrifice a large portion of your Thursdays for all the extra work you do at the store when it's your day off. Especially a day like today where, for no reason, the Diamond reorder was delayed by a day.
Yeah, at least they called us to tell us that.
Yeah.
That was nice.
And
sometimes
then,
it's just a mystery of is it going to show up? And then we find out, no, it isn't.
And it's a kind of thing that messes up our billing cycles and another massive supply week in a row. Mm-hmm. So thanks for going in. I'm sure it wasn't a small one this week.
It actually went pretty fast, mostly because the reorder was not huge, and Ken had already unpacked it and separated stuff, so it was mostly just me logging it in through Comic Suite and then helping him put some stuff out on the shelf and rechecking some of his piles to make sure everything was right. And 99% of it was right.
Cool.
And then doing some stuff for special orders, and then when those were done, it was doing all the pops and getting those out. Thankfully, the pops were really the only new product that we got in from Southern Hobby, so that went pretty fast.
Did you check the dice?
I did not.
Okay. Because the dice usually just get stickered and put out, but these would be all new ones.
Sure. Yeah, no.
So I'll take care of that tomorrow.
Yeah, you'll have to do that.
I usually have to. Whenever we get new dice in, I have to go pull it off the shelf because...
Sure.
They're not, but anyway.
The pops went quickly this time. The pops can be a difficult thing to do when we get them in because to put them in the system, unlike stuff that we get from Diamond that's already in the system, we have to take the pop, we've got to scan it, put it in the system, change the price, change the quantity, and you have to search through alphabetically all of our database. So it's Pop, Avengers, Endgame, the figure, and then you change it.
Yeah, so you import them from Diamond, you don't...
Yeah, I import them from Diamond,
okay.
So that it has all the Diamond order codes. So, for example, I can put a Pop, Avengers, Endgame, Captain America vinyl on your account.
Yeah.
So then you can remember to buy it, and you can just have it.
Oh, I'm not buying it.
That's fine, too. The thing that makes it tricky is that usually, like you said, we don't get a full wave of figures in for Pops. We'll get 2 pops from one series, 3 pops from another series, another pop from another series, and that makes finding them all in the system after I've imported them a little time consuming because you're constantly scrolling up and down and retyping and trying to find what did they call this series because it's all pop something else, and it's okay, well, this was a Marvel one, but this was a Marvel movie one, so the Marvel movie one's going to be listed a different way than a Marvel comic one.
Except they're all numbered just straight ahead Marvel.
Right. But that's just for the box art. That's not for our system.
I think Captain America was 450 or something like that.
The thing that made it easy for this one is that they were all 11 in a row. So I would just do Ant-Man and then move on to Black Widow and then move on to Captain America and then move on to Captain Marvel. And it was just it went real fast.
Nice.
So yeah, I did not have to stay as long at the store as I normally do. But boy, it's getting to the point where I have to block off a good hour and a half to 2 hours every Thursday because of some insane thing that just comes in.
Just keeps happening.
Yeah, it's great. It's not great.
No. Speaking of pops, I have a couple of Batgirl pops. just because.
Okay.
Just because we had them for a while and they weren't moving. I'm like, that's kind of cool to get these 3.
Sure.
So just yesterday, I'm like, have they ever made any more? Have they made more Batgirls? And they have.
Okay.
They certainly have. Now, I've stayed away from things like the Bombshell, because that's just a reinterpretation of a previous timeline type of thing. And the Imposters,
Yeah.
there's a Poison Ivy, there's a Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Like those, I didn't need those.
Nobody did, as it turned out.
Or the Lego one. There's a Lego Batgirl,
Oh, okay, sure.
where, not from the movie, but like as if she's built out of Legos.
Oh, no, it's like 8-bit or something, is it?
Oh, yeah, 8-bit.
Yeah,
right.
because they did a few different pops in that style,
Okay.
which, again, nobody liked.
Right. And they did have a couple, a more of a like 70s, 80s version, which I
Okay.
found for like $7. And then they did an original, before they started doing the girl figures with the really skinny bodies and legs, they did an original bulkier one
Okay.
in both the gray suit with the yellow boots and belt,
Was it the animated one? Or just...
and
Okay.
and then black version of that, which was a
Okay.
GameStop exclusive.
Cool.
So I got the black one because it was cheaper,
Okay.
but I didn't feel like getting both of
Both,
them because
sure.
they're the exact same figure.
The Funko announcement today was that they're doing a new wave of WWE Pops. Becky Lynch. New Becky
Yeah,
Lynch.
which is annoying because I've already pre-ordered the man shirt from an online retailer, and they said that's the first Becky Lynch pop. It's not coming out until August.
Yeah.
I bet these come out quicker.
Maybe. I didn't look at the date on them.
And also, they have a Bret Hitman heart, so I'll have to get that for George.
Okay. Yeah, and then Elias and like 2 different Undertakers and somebody else.
Yeah.
I can't remember who else.
It was Trish Stratus, but I literally could not tell. I had to look it up. I'm like, who is that? Is that Alexa Bliss? I could not tell. So I think we'll get Becky for the store,
Okay.
but out of that wave, that's all.
Sure.
I think that's all.
Okay.
But ordering pops doesn't necessarily mean we get pops. As we said, they ship out of order, and sometimes they just never fill.
Yeah, unfortunately.
There was I was trying to get the New Girl pops, and I'd ordered all of them, and I was going to say only Jess ever came out, but that's not true. We only ever got Jess. We never got the boys. But they came out. It's just our distributor didn't get them.
Yeah.
And then there was a CC.
Yeah, but
that
she was an exclusive.
Exclusive, right. An NYCC exclusive, if I recall.
Yep.
And then I started to think, like, since I don't have a ton of pops, but I do have a lot of pops.
You do.
They're all right here, though.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's out of control.
Sure.
But then I started thinking, like, they're doing community ones.
Yes.
So I'm down for those. But weirdly, they're not doing the whole study group. They're not doing Pierce, and they're not doing Britta.
Well, Britta's the worst.
But they are doing Chang.
Yeah, that's not surprising. They're doing like paintball Chang, right?
Yeah. Pimp suit paintball
Yeah.
Chang. Which I don't like that specific version.
Sure.
So I'm not getting Chang.
Okay.
But I'm getting everybody else. But like, they're never going to go back and do a Pierce and a Britta. So I'm going to feel weirdly incomplete.
Maybe they do them for San Diego?
Yeah, maybe. That's a good point. And then I started to think, like, what other... If they were to go back and do sitcoms, what else would I get?
They did Scrubs. You didn't get any Scrubs ones.
I don't care.
Yeah,
but-
but you like Scrubs, and
Sure.
you watched all of
All right.
Scrubs.
But I figured it would be like...
Barney Miller.
No. No. How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, they've never done How I Met Your Mother?
No.
Really? Not even
Classically,
a Barney?
probably WKRP in Cincinnati.
Yeah, boy, that seems unlikely.
Right. But I just thought, there's like, man, because I'm thinking, like, okay, there's not much else they could do with Pops to make me care.
Sure.
But they do somehow.
Well, I guess the two things that you have to look forward to are them potentially doing older ones that maybe they've never gotten around to because, they need to do new stuff, so here's a new
Yeah,
license. But they'll also there will be new movies and new TV shows,
Yeah,
and there will
no, that's
inevitably
true.
be
But
something where it's like,
historically,
a 14th Doctor
I've
or
stayed
whatever.
away from a lot of the... they've never made a 13th Doctor 6-inch action figure?
It feels like they've stopped doing 6-inch action figures entirely.
How can you do that? How can you do that?
I don't know, it's weird.
How dare they? How dare they? Anyway, How I Met Your Mother, 5 figures, boom, done. But other shows that I watch, like Friends, I don't care.
Sure.
Parks and Rec, I don't want Parks and Rec pops.
No.
So I can say no,
Sure.
just not to everything.
Yeah, it feels like the pop stuff, there's always this Achilles heel. Like, even people who swear off pops, inevitably there will be something where it's like, they don't make merch for that show and this is it, so oh my god. Like, it's kind of easy if you're like a comics fan or a wrestling fan to not get pops because you've got tons of action figures and stuff you can buy.
Yeah.
But, like, for me, like, they don't make a lot of Gwenpool stuff, so yeah, I'm going to get the Gwenpool pops because they don't make a lot of Gwenpool things. But I don't have to do it for, like, superhero stuff because I don't care that much. Like, I don't need to have that many superhero things. I've got the Kota Bakuya Artifact Plus statues that they've basically stopped doing. So that's fine. That's a nice collection. And then I'll be getting the box sets of the Batman black and white PVC figures. So I'll have a couple dozen of those. That'll look nice.
Those blind bags are pretty great. They're only $5.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's a very cool price point and a very cool little collectible for people to have.
And they're all good ones so far.
Yeah. Sure.
Would you get Kamen Rider pops?
Oh my god, yes. Yeah. Oh god, yes.
Okay. But I mean, you wouldn't get Transformers pops.
The only ones they've done are movie ones, and I don't like the movie designs. Okay. There have been a few of the Hasbro branded Mighty Minis.
Yeah.
Which are like the head-changing ones.
Yeah.
And if I saw those in a store, I might pick them up, but I don't think I've really seen them. Mostly I've seen like the Marvel ones, and maybe Star Wars, maybe?
Sure.
I just don't need them that bad. But yeah, Kamen Rider ones, yeah. There is not a pop equivalent, but there are like small kind of vinyl-y figures that have just never really been offered to the U.S. So I would have to track them down on like Amazon Japan, and I don't want to do that.
What about today's new-to-order Kamen Rider?
Oh, yes. Oh my god, O's, yeah.
Oh, I didn't see an order for that, that's all.
I didn't close out the shopping cart. Yeah. O's is maybe my favorite all the way around Kamen Rider series that I've watched so far. I've only watched like 5 or 6 series, but that's the one where it's...
Out of?
Like 30?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, the Heisei era stuff, they're on their...
There's not enough Saturdays.
Their 20th show, I think? And they're closing that out. That's Zio, that's on right now in Japan.
I feel like you're baiting me, but I have to...
And then there were like 7 or 8 series for the Showa era, which I will probably never watch because they're like the Kamen Rider equivalent of like 2nd or 3rd Doctor stuff.
Okay.
Where it's like, if you grew up on that, it looks great, but if you come to it as a younger person, it looks very, very crude. Yeah. In a way that you can't really see the charm in it.
Understood.
But yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I like that suit. I love that show. Very excited to be able to get it at wholesale cost. It's the thing I'm most excited about. It's a figure they're redoing basically because they had done a previous version years ago when the show was coming out.
I assume ends?
That was...
No?
No. That was back in 2010, 2011, something like that. And
what do we know about the world back in 2011?
And they like it was an okay figure, but the proportions were not great, and they make the figure so much better now that they're able to take their engineering skill and go, okay, we can do better on this. And now I get a chance at it instead of having to pay aftermarket prices for an older figure that's not as good. I get to pay retail price for a figure that's new and better.
What a world we live in!
I love it. There's no segue from that.
No, I mean I had one, but I'm like I'm not gonna try to segue it. We're just gonna go forward.
Changing topics.
We had some fun filming in the store on Tuesday morning of this week, and initially I wasn't going to talk about it, but since the people involved were posting about it, I figured we can without giving too many specifics.
Fair game.
The one thing that is typical Challengers, though, is... And granted, it was only the day before. So the day before, I was talking to one of the people involved, and I'd said... Because this was filming before the stores open.
Uh-huh.
And I'd said, do you want us to make it look like there's people shopping in the store, or does it matter? And they said, oh, if you can, that'd be great. Mm-hmm. So I put out a call on social media, on both Facebook and Twitter, and basically said, hey, we're doing this filming tomorrow. We could use people. We'll call for warm bodies is what it was said.
Okay.
And I acknowledged that it was only a half day's notice, and it was from 10:30 to 11:30, where people were, of course, at work and doing things.
But utterly predictably.
The responses that we got on social media were, I have to work, kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Fine.
Sure.
And then we even had other people posting in different places for us about it, including Morgan Perry from Boom Studios.
Thanks, Morgan.
Thank you, Morgan. And we had 0 people show up.
Zero.
Yeah.
Big old goose egg.
And we figured this is a thing that we might have had a turnout for because this wasn't for us.
Yeah, this is filming.
But I mean, we weren't filming a thing for us. They were filming a thing for them in our store.
Yeah, but I think the bigger carrot was the fact that it's filming, and that usually makes people want to turn out for something. If they're going to be filmed for something, there's a sense of, like, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
Like, more than we are, we need your help to move racks, or we are doing some event or something where you might have to buy something. This is just, you'll be on camera for something, and that usually makes people turn up.
And to be fair, we didn't say what it was for or what they'd have to do or any of that kind of stuff, which is fine. And I don't know when this is going to be done, but I had fun.
Yeah?
Did you have fun?
Sure.
You were good.
Okay. Well, I hope it turns out well. This was not something I pursued. This was something I was informed about, and it did not, detract from my day.
Yeah.
I got all my work done, so that was good.
Yeah, I actually got my work done remarkably in a decent time frame, considering the extra time spent on this in the morning.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was fun, though. It's going to be... I don't know when it's going to be done, but it was for Q101, and it featured their morning team in the store. And I guess we'll leave it at that, because we'll wait until it's done.
Yeah, and people can see it.
But anyway,
will I have to subscribe to the Q101 streaming service to be able to see it?
It's a good question. I believe it's called Q101 Plus.
Okay.
I could not come up with a better name as I was saying that.
No.
I started that sentence without having an end to it.
Yep.
And Plus was my... Well, I could always say Plus if I can't think of anything. And since I couldn't think of anything in that, second that I was saying it,
yep.
I went with it. I couldn't do it. And, there's actually a Q101 website and then a WKQX website.
Mm-hmm.
Two different things for the same station.
Strange.
Because one is a archive history.
Oh, okay.
By the way, I found out in the pop listings when I was looking for the Batgirl pops, a lot of listings had the word vaulted in them. Do you know what that means in regards to pop vinyls?
No.
I didn't either. At first I thought it meant still in the box. Vaulted means out of production.
Oh, okay.
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, that is every single pop that is released.
Yeah, I wasn't under the impression that they kept a lot of pops in production.
They don't.
But I don't investigate that.
They make one run and they move on.
Because they make a lot of pops. I don't think they'd be able to just keep making more and more of older ones.
They don't ever do older ones. They'll just do newer versions of those characters.
Sure. How many Captain Americas? How many Batmans?
Yeah. It makes me wonder. I don't remember when pop vinyls, going back to pop vinyls, first came on the scene. But
I think it was 10 years ago.
Okay, because I've got the regular Marvel Captain America.
Yeah.
And then starting with Civil War, I was getting everything. But was there a First Avenger pop? Was there
Probably.
Winter Soldier pop?
Probably.
Right, see? So I should have been looking up that instead of Batgirl ones. Come on, man.
What a waste.
I know. I'll never be able to do that again. I don't know what's wrong. I don't know why I did that. All right, so we briefly talked about the filming in the store, which was on the whiteboard. Now, I'm going to read a prepared statement.
Cool, I'll get up my phone.
Okay. Little Bird #1 sales battle winner. Congratulations, challengers. This was written by All Star Comics, in case you couldn't figure that out. Well, it was a battle for the history books, for sure. A little over a month ago, Challengers Comics in Conversation came to us with a brilliant idea to help promote a new image book, Little Bird. Both stores had read preview copies of the first few issues and agreed that it was something a little different, special, and something we had faith that our respective customer bases would enjoy, if only we could get them to pick up issue #1. And so the Little Bird #1 sales battle was born. We now want to take a moment, after all the sales data for #1 has been collected and tallied. like to congratulate challengers on getting the most sales for number 1. It was a relative close result in the end, but we have absolutely no shame in admitting defeat when we sold just shy of 100 copies of a title that before the battle was announced, we only had a handful of special orders for number 1 and maybe 1 or 2 standing orders for it. This is massive for us, and no doubt challengers too, and we could not be more proud of our collective customer base for being willing to not just attempt to help us to win, but more that they took notice and cared enough to give this new, relatively unknown series a shot. As fans of this art form, we find ourselves in a moment of comic history like no other, with the sheer number of amazing titles to enjoy out there. So much so it can be overwhelming, and we understand it's impossible to read everything, even if the publishers don't understand that. But we should take a moment to really appreciate how fortunate we are to live in a time and place that we have the opportunity to engage with these amazing and unique stories. Never forget that your next favorite story is only one new comic you pick up off the shelf away. Thanks again to everyone that took part in this promotion. The feedback on number 1 has been amazing, and people are now buzzed for the release of number 2, which is out now. With the results this promotion yielded, we could not be happier to concede defeat to our comic store brethren from Challengers, Patrick, Dal, and their team, and would happily meet them on the sales battlefield again for the next great new series that we believe you need to read. So, thanks, everybody, for trusting us with Little Bird number 1, and thank you, All-Star, for a really competitive battle. And, Dal, I think you'll agree with me, we expected to lose.
Yeah, I just wanted it to be close. I didn't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah, we went into this figuring we were going to lose. Mm-hmm. We also went into this not expecting to, I say we, but this is entirely me, be as mean as I was.
I expected it, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
I mean, there was, by nature, I am not an internet troll.
Right. And
I'm
also,
a human troll.
You're not a competitive person. Like, I don't think of you as someone who gets really, like, intensely competitive. What you are is someone who definitely knows people's weak spots. And knows the thing you can say that's going to make them laugh but also feel bad about themselves. And I think you like knowing you can hit that button even if you don't hit that button.
I need to not hit that button.
You shown me screenshots of things where you were going to type out a message to somebody.
Yeah.
And didn't because you know it's too mean.
Come on, but that one from this week was pretty great.
It's so good. Oh my god. It was great. But also, I had to immediately go, you didn't send that, right?
I can't help it. They just... Everybody at All-Star is so nice.
Uh-huh.
They never attacked.
Sure.
And they gave me too many openings.
Yeah.
And it was all done in fun. There's legitimately one time I did apologize publicly.
Sure.
For... It was a completely different thread.
Yeah.
And I brought the sales battle into it.
Uh-huh.
And they just said, cold.
Look, what they have to understand is that sometimes we can say mean or sort of thoughtless things because we're so tired from selling so many copies of Little Bird number 1. Like, they don't experience that, so they don't know what it's like to be that exhausted from just selling copies minute after minute after minute and pitching them and having people buy them. Like, I hope someday they get to experience that too. The same way we did for an entire month, selling 100 plus copies of Little Bird number 1.
We had so many aces in our back pockets too. Aces in our holes is a bad thing to have said.
Yep.
Where number 1, we offered a money back guarantee. Somebody returned it, and then we resold it.
Right.
So that added a plus one because each store started with the same number of books.
You and I differed on whether that would be if we sold out 101 copies sold or 100. I thought 100. You thought 101.
It was 101 if they also sold 100.
Sure.
That's why I said
we needed it.
That's why I said
101.
an ace in our back pocket.
Well, and we were also like, if we had both sold out of our initial shipment of first prints, we had ordered the second print and we're going to sell a few. So it was like,
yeah, and we
if
did.
we need that. Because I think we've sold probably 7 second prints.
Well, the last time I checked, it was 6, so it could be 7.
I know we sold another one.
Okay. So 7 copies of the second print and the number 1 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we didn't need it, as it turned
It was fun.
Yeah, they're good sports, and God bless them for wanting to participate in this. Thank you, Patrick, for thinking this up and working with them on it. It was not something I would have promoted for this book, and I'm glad we did it. It seems like people are really enjoying the book, and definitely a lot more people discovered Little Bird than maybe would have if they had just picked it up off the shelf.
Yeah, I mean, issue 2 came out this week, and at the start of the day, Tuesday, when I'm checking everything in, we had 30 people down for that book as a subscription.
Which I think is great.
Which,
for anything...
without this sales battle, we would not have ordered 30 copies of number 1.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, the full credit goes to the book for being engaging enough for people to want to read it.
Sure.
Excuse me. I mean...
But, good books come out all the time without people giving them a shot or reading them or picking them up.
But it was also a very heavy push on our part.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I told this to Mitchell, and it's something that I've been feeling a lot lately, where it seems like we've lost the ability to really get people to try books, but this changed all that in my mind.
Yeah, and you and I have talked about this, and I kind of disagree with that. It feels like it's not happening because there's not that one thing we can point to that's selling constantly, but there's like a million little things. We had somebody come in this past Wednesday, and I didn't realize it at first. It took me until kind of the end of the transaction, but they were buying a couple volumes of Harrow County, and that's a book that I'm almost positive I pitched them on about a month ago. It was, kind of the random, hey, I've not really been reading a lot of graphic novels. Here's the sort of stuff I've liked, and Harrow County was one of the ones where I'm like, hey, check this out. Look at the artwork. And clearly it's working because they were coming back and picking up 2 more volumes. And I think they'd already come back to pick up some other ones before that because I don't think that was like volumes 2 and 3.
Well, sure. I don't...
So every day there's stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's just
I guess I should clarify. What I mean is new series and to a larger scale. I mean, if you look at how many copies of Infidel we can each sell.
Right.
Or the number of copies of the... comic book story professional wrestling.
Sure.
Things like that. Like, that's a different basis. But I meant, like, getting as many people at once as energized for a brand new thing in singles.
I guess the thing is, this is going to sound weird, and I'll try and describe it. Sometimes it can feel kind of pointless doing that, because a lot of the things that keep a book going are larger than just challengers. Like, there's been any number of Marvel series where we've pushed it really hard, and then we find out, issue 10 is the last issue of West Coast Avengers.
Yeah.
So, like, we have a lot of subscribers.
Issue 12 is the last episode, the last issue of X-23.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second. I think that might be a different thing.
Okay.
But, yeah, any number of times where we've done Vision, which wasn't canceled due to low sales, but wrapped up. She-Hulk that didn't make it. 2 different She-Hulks that didn't make it. West Coast Avengers. Where we get a lot of people subscribed to it from the first issue, by promoting the first issue and saying good things about it and recommending it. But then the market as a whole is like, we don't care about that. We didn't push it. We don't care. And so we lose sales on it. We lose a sellable book for us because so many stores are like, I didn't even bother. It's not to my taste or my customer tastes.
Sure.
So what can we do about that? We can't individually as challengers sell 15,000 copies of a book to keep it going. Like, we can't.
Have you tried?
I have tried getting one person to subscribe to 15,000 copies of a book, and
I'm not buying Knights of the Dinner Table. You know that's not my thing.
Have you read every issue multiple times like I have? Maybe you'll find something in it if you did that.
Why don't you buy 15? Wait, no, don't. You're using the store money, so don't do that.
Try reading it every day for 20 years and see what you think. See how much you like it.
All right. Today is April 18th?
18th.
2019?
So I'll check back with you April 17th, 2039?
Yep.
Okay.
Let me just put that in my calendar.
Yep. Definitely make a note of that.
Writing it down here first.
Check back with episode 1000 and
420.
1420. This is episode 420?
420. It's episode 420.
That's unfortunate.
Which I was going to go out of my way to not mention, but there it is.
So X-23 real quick.
Okay.
I don't want to get off topic.
No, that's fine. We're moving on.
The July solicits came out for Marvel today.
Yeah, boy, did I hate them.
X-23 is wrapping up with issue 12. I don't know if they announced a cancellation or anything, but it is wrapping up. But weirdly, it seems like, and again, there hasn't been an official announcement really, basically every X title is wrapping up in July. It seems like X-Force is done at 10.
Yeah, Uncanny has done it like...
22.
Yeah.
Domino Hotshots is a miniseries that ends. All of the Age of X-Man stuff are miniseries that end that month. So I don't know if the X-23 thing is down to...
Okay, let me just jump in and say, like for Uncanny and X-Force, none of them say final issue.
Right.
They say things like, it's the final battle.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, they don't say it, but everything in there indicates...
Yeah. Okay.
But Marvel doesn't like saying final issue. Like, DC will say final issue in the solicits if it's ending. Marvel would just rather pretend that it's just not coming out, which usually means a creator then has to go on Twitter and go, yeah, we're not in the new previews. This is our final issue. It's coming out the month prior.
Kelly Thompson has to do
that.
an editorial in the back of West Coast Avengers 10 to say, hey...
Well, I mean, Marvel will usually do that. If a series is ending or a creator's leaving, like, they will usually get a moment to kind of go, hey, thanks for everything. Which is nice. I like that they at least acknowledge that there are people who work on this book and that they feel a sense of pride in even creator-owned or non-creator-owned material like that. They do care about what they're doing. So the X-23 thing, I think, might have more to do with the Jonathan Hickman X-Men stuff starting up in July and kind of wanting a real clean slate for him to work with whatever characters he wants to work with and whatever capacity he wants to work in, than it is, like, these books aren't selling. Like, I feel like they were all destined to end in the summertime of 2019.
Okay. That's fine.
It's still unfortunate, because I really did like Mariko Tamaki's X-23. I thought it was very good.
And that's coming after, like, oh man, no one's going to be able to top Tom Taylor's run.
Yeah, I don't know that it topped it. It definitely was doing different things, which I really appreciated. It delves a lot more into the idea of sisterhood and kind of what that means for two women than the Tom Taylor stuff was doing. Like, the idea of sisterhood, I think, is more foregrounded in the Mariko Tamaki stuff, where it's just part of the mix of the Tom Taylor stuff.
Sure. That being said, I want a Honey Badger Marvel Legends figure.
Who wouldn't?
I mean, they've already done multiple X-23s and all new Wolverines.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see them do a new costume X-23, the Wong Cabal costume.
Hold on. My point is, they just did multiples of her. Let's just do at least one of Gabby.
Yeah.
Don't tell them to do another Laura.
Do both in the same line.
Okay. That's fine.
Like, an upcoming Star Wars Black Series wave, half of it is Dr. Aphra and BT and 000. So entirely half of it is just the three main characters from the Dr. Aphra book.
BT?
The R2 droid, the little guy.
Oh, I thought that was you were getting Black Kristall wrong.
No.
Because of the B part.
Sure. I was not.
I shouldn't have assumed that there would be a Star Wars thing that I would get and you wouldn't.
Yep.
I do want credit for knowing his name, though.
Sure. You met him.
I did, which is why I remember it. But
you guys are friends.
But regardless. So going back to the Marvel solicits,
Boy, there's a lot of them.
There's so much...
Holy crap.
Chaff.
There are there's 5 Infinity Warps annuals, which are, I think, $5 each.
So, fine. A weekly event, fine. I'll let that go. Al Ewing is in charge of that. He's got co-writers or part other, like, there's 2 stories.
Backups.
Okay. Fine. I'll give you doing that event. But why are there 3 separate facsimile editions and multiple Marvel Tales and a whole bunch of weirdo...
the 3-issue annual thing where it's the Acts of Evil annuals.
Yes.
That's happening. The start of the Prodigal Son thing. The Fantastic Four...
Peter David story arc.
Multiple character thing. There's something else that I remember.
There's a Captain America Wolverine... The Secret of Their Origins. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, a lot of books. Just a whole lot of books. And that's on top of, like, all of that X-Men stuff.
Age of X-Men, Omega. Another
War of the
Realms,
Omega.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Still more
the new
War
Loki
of
book,
things.
the Punisher Kill Crew.
Invisible Woman.
Valkyrie. Powers of X. I don't know if House of X is launching in that one.
I'm sorry.
Powers of 10. Jesus Christ. That's so
They're
stupid.
they're both launching in the same one,
I don't remember seeing
but
that
only
in the
one
solicits.
issue of each, so they must be middle of the month.
Maybe. That History of the Marvel Universe thing.
Yeah.
A bunch of books, of course, have multiple issues coming out. Yeah, July is a ridiculous month. And once again, it's easy to point at Marvel as like, this is what's wrong with direct retailing. Like, this is stuff like this, where it's just stuff shoveled out with no conception of how big is the market? How many people are actively shopping within this supply chain? That releasing this kind of product is sensible.
But at the same time, in this week's Marvel mailer, in the new news section, buried at the bottom, there was an announcement that I thought could be a huge deal. Not a huge deal, a big deal. And I don't remember the book, but it said that a certain title was also being written by Phil Lord.
Oh, Spider-Man Annual.
Spider-Man Annual.
Because
Now,
it's the Spider-Ham one.
okay, so I assume that's that Phil Lord.
Yeah.
That has a potential. Oh, right, you're right, because along with Jason Latour, it's Phil Lord.
Yeah.
So that has the potential to reach outside of the normal comic consumer chain.
Yeah, maybe.
But more than not.
Sure.
More than nothing else. And I thought, that's a thing you make a big deal of. That's a thing you tell people
No,
about.
that's not a variant cover. You're thinking of variant
Yeah,
covers. You
man,
make big deals about
it's-
variant covers.
Phil Lord is co-writing or writing a story or whatever in this annual, and that's...
One of the screenwriters and producers of the Academy Award-winning Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is writing a story in a Spider-Verse themed annual, and Marvel's like, meh.
And
Who's doing the variant, though?
We have to find out by digging through a text email.
Yep.
Yet
They don't seem real excited about
I
it.
get, I got an email earlier this week just of the Acts of Evil logo.
Yep.
That's all, just of that.
Get real excited for all of the X-Men variants they're going to end up doing for the Hickman
man.
books, because good God, are there going to be a lot of them. And that's... And oh my God, they're doing it's the Carnage month. I think July is
Yes.
the Carnage variant month.
Yes.
So many books have Carnage variants.
And I don't know where you were looking, but the website I was looking at
CBR.
mainly showed off just the Carnage covers for all the books.
I did see a lot of those.
Yeah. Also, the Marvels, whatever it's called,
Yeah.
that's coming out.
Yeah.
Why does that have 12 variant covers by people like Dave Cockrum or
I have no idea.
Ron Lim
That seems like
or
a lot.
Scotty Young? Why would you want
The non-Alex Ross cover?
anything you want to do a variant cover? Have an Alex Ross cover.
Sure.
Have another one.
Yeah.
That it just seems like they don't understand what that book is about.
Nope.
But no, they do. That book is about selling more variant covers. And then
I don't know, not to us.
also those new Asian superheroes, their
Yes.
books are debuting, Swordmaster and Arrow.
Well, it's... reading the solicit, it sounds like what they did is so those characters are going to be in the Agents of Atlas book that's coming out for the War of the Realms tie-ins.
Yeah. The breakout stars from War of the Realms, that they're announcing their series before their appearance has happened.
Well, it sounds like from the solicit, and I could be wrong in this, they did original versions of those characters, stories for them, specifically for Chinese language markets, that are then being republished,
Yes.
localized for North American audiences.
Along with
English-speaking
along with
audiences.
news stories
Yeah.
by Greg Pak added in.
Yeah, so there's probably stuff that's, if you were in Shanghai right now, you could probably read, those stories. It's just, for English-speaking audiences, you're going to get it differently down the line.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many of these one-shot Marvel books that are coming out. And by the way, those are series. I don't mean to imply those are one-shots. Those are 2 new ongoing series. And I applaud them for having more diversity to characters and bringing in different creators as well. But so many of these Marvel one-shots, I think, was this a digital-first thing?
Yeah. Probably.
And one of the things that I'm most annoyed about is I don't know how much I want to talk about because I don't want to spoil it for other people the way it was spoiled for me. They had previously announced a new title coming out, written by Jason Aaron and Al Ewing, although now it's actually written by Al Ewing with Jason Aaron.
Which is what I always thought it was
Right.
going to be.
And, okay, they're doing a Valkyrie book. Fine.
Sure.
Whatever.
Valkyrie's been in movies.
Yeah. The solicitation tells you what it really is.
Yes.
when the story that causes this to happen hasn't happened yet. And it kind of ruins... It kind of ruins...
Sort of. So, it's...
I've read War of Realms too.
Okay. Well, I don't want to spoil it necessarily for people who are listening, but in general, Valkyrie is one of several titles that's going to be coming out of the events of War of the Realms. If you've read War of the Realms 2, you can kind of put two and two together and figure out who the new Valkyrie is, and also why they'd be the new Valkyrie. Like, I feel like reading War of the Realms 2 already had me thinking in that direction, so when they announced it was like, okay, although you're right, it is always disappointing when Marvel's giving you what happens in the epilogue before they finish telling the story. They're always doing the thing where it's like, you can't enjoy the book you're reading now, we need you to be excited about the book you're going to read after that.
You mean Freya telling Odin that their son is dead after Marvel's already announced the new Loki book?
Yes.
I don't like that. I thought that was pretty great. Thor? Impossible. No,
the other one.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't have... So this is maybe splitting hairs. I don't have as much of a problem with the Loki one because it's like saying, they just killed Phoenix. How could they be having a new Phoenix book? Like, that's kind of the main thing that character does, is not stay dead.
But if it was Peter Parker as Loki...
Sure. Yeah, but no, it's a thing that I've frequently had a problem with where Marvel, because of the way the solicitations generally work, you're 2 to 3 months ahead. So if you're having something where, a big event is going to be ending in 3 months, you kind of need to start talking about what's happening afterwards. The alternative, which is the way they used to do it, is maybe you wait 3 or 4 months and then the new thing comes out.
Just wait a month. Put it in August.
Well, no, I think even longer. Like, ideally, I would like, if a series like War of the Realms is running, like March to May, or March... Yeah, let's say March to end of May. I'm just coming up with dates here.
Yeah.
Then I would like to see the epilogue, the new stuff coming out of that, not come out until like September, October. So you can talk about it in like July and August.
I think that's too long. I think that...
it's definitely too long for Marvel.
The attention span of today's readers... You want to spin out of an event from 3 months ago?
No, but this is the way that Marvel's created it. Like, this is a problem of Marvel's own making. It used to be the other way. Where you would have a storyline that happens in the summer, and then, like, 10 months of aftermath, and then another story that happens the next summer. But the stories are happening so quickly and so on top of each other that you don't have that, decimation... initiative, whatever, like post-event era where you can tell these other stories and you can build up to other things because you have another story happening right on top of it. Marvel's already showed us the roadmap where it's like, we're doing War of the Realms and then we're immediately doing Absolute Carnage and then we're doing another thing in the wintertime that's going to be like the next thing after that's all of this stuff. So there's no space. There's no room to breathe. So Marvel has to do a thing where, like, Loki has to come out in July because we can't solicit it in July to come out in September because in September we're already going to be doing the post-Absolute Carnage stuff. That's where that's going to happen.
Or when they do realize they have a hit, they take too long, like Shuri.
I don't know. I mean... I think that was more down to just them not knowing how Black Panther would play. Like, I don't think they knew that Shuri would be that exciting a character for people, and so when they saw the movie, they're like, oh crap. We don't even have that version of Shuri in our universe. We need to fix so many things about the way that Ta-Nehisi Coates is doing that character to turn her into the movie version that we can put in a book and sell.
So when there's a character that excites people on the screen... Let's say Tessa Thompson.
Sure.
In Thor Ragnarok.
Yes.
And then they eventually make the effort to put her into the Marvel Universe.
Right.
Briefly.
In Exiles, yeah.
And then they announce a new book with that character, but it's not that character. Is that going to look bad from the outside?
Yeah, maybe.
Because the majority of people, and let's face it, they cater to the movie audience way more than they should, would be expecting a black character.
Sure.
And they're not getting one.
No. Yeah, I wonder how people are going to take that.
Yeah, I mean, what they're getting makes perfect sense from the story.
Sure. And I like that character.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see them doing stuff with that character again. It's not what I expected for that character. I had different theories, but...
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was going to be a closer to history.
Yeah. My theories usually don't play out for that book. I remember way back when the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie was coming out, the amount of people who saw the trailer and were furious because they made Green Lantern white.
Yeah, yeah.
Green Lantern is Jon Stewart. He's in the cartoon. That's how they grew up. They grew up on that version. So suddenly it's like, why is he a white guy? And that's something that Marvel might have to grapple with is, despite some cool stories and some history for these characters, there are going to be people who are like, Valkyrie's black. I saw the movie Valkyrie's Black.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that is the first thing I thought of.
Yeah, I wonder.
Aside from, I wish I hadn't seen this article.
I was actually messaging you because I wanted to go, hey, you're probably going to get a Marvel email that has this in the headline. Don't look at it.
Which, ironically, they haven't emailed that about that yet.
Okay.
Yeah. You'd said, hey, have you read...
Did you read War of the Realms #2?
And I said, no, but Valkyrie was spoiled on Facebook.
I went, oh, okay. That's too bad.
And then you stopped messaging. I'm like, oh, I guess that was it.
Yeah.
I guess that was the subject. Hey, you know what I want to be able to do for an episode coming up, since we were talking earlier about what I want to do for episodes?
What's that?
I would love it if we had an entire episode where we were just answering listener questions.
Okay.
And, they could be as general as... Who's your favorite superhero? Who would win in a fight between so-and-so and so-and-so? I want them comic-related,
Okay.
but they don't have to just be business questions. They don't have to be like marketing analysis or sales figures derivatives.
Okay.
But I want something like that. Like, I see a lot of fun videos where people just are pulling questions out of a hat.
Sure.
Or whatever. And I would like it to be where we don't think about them ahead of time.
Sure.
But we'd still have to... print them out or do whatever.
I don't think anything's really off topic or anything. Nothing's out of bounds. That said, I would appreciate questions that are shorter than 4 sentences. We've gotten some questions before where it's like, here's an entire story, and I have to read the whole thing and then figure out, like, what are you asking me?
Right.
Because you're giving me your answer and your history, and then I have to respond to that, and I don't love doing that as much.
But I also want to keep it industry related. I don't want it to be, why do you like ketchup on hot dogs?
Things like how it was raised.
Sure. Which answers a lot of questions for everything that we're into.
Yeah. Well, I mean, food stuff specifically, like, most of my food answers are going to be, that's what was in the house when I was growing up. That's what my mom made. Like, I drink Diet Coke because she had Diet Coke in the fridge. That was the soda we had. So that's what soda tastes like to me, even though I wasn't drinking it for, like,
the dietary part
health
of it.
or diet reasons. I was drinking it because
no one's drinking for health.
That was the soda that was in the refrigerator.
Speaking of your mom, I keep forgetting to thank her for her very generous anniversary gift.
I believe she is aware of that. It led
thank
to
you, Diane.
An awkward question from her that I had to go, no, he's not mad at you.
Oh, I'm not. I've mentioned it to you like 3 times now, and I keep forgetting to do it. Thank you, Diane, for your generous gift, and thank you to my sister Susan for the steel rose for the anniversary as well. There are thank yous.
Thanks. There they are.
Yes. But, yeah, I mean, like, I want a good amount of questions. I want, like, I don't know, to get an hour's worth of answers, we need a hefty amount of questions.
Yeah, I at least have a tendency to be able to very quickly answer some questions where I don't feel like they deserve a lot of elaboration, when it's mostly like, no, here's the answer.
You mean like Avengers being asked questions on Stephen Colbert?
I mean not a prepared skit.
Okay.
Yeah, we would need a bunch of questions to
like
do
a superhero garbage man?
A lot of questions. I mean,
like 50 questions, probably?
Not that many.
I mean...
Less than that. 20 to 25, I think, would probably go well.
All right. So feel free to submit more than one question.
Yeah,
that's what you want.
Give us a bunch.
Yeah. I mean, if you never hear an episode like that, that's because we didn't get any questions.
Yeah.
So who knows?
How are people submitting these questions?
Oh, it's a good point. Email them to us, challengers@challengerscomics.com.
Challengers with us, comicswithin.us.com.
Yeah, I mean, you could... I'll also accept Twitter or Facebook as well.
Can they be questions that have already been submitted that you can answer on the podcast? Like, why are you so mean?
That's not industry related.
I think it kind of is.
I don't know.
I'm sure there's people in the industry who felt like you've been mean to them.
You know what? That's fine. If industry people ask why I'm so mean, I'll accept that.
Industry people have asked why you're so mean.
Yeah, and this is obviously open to anyone who listens to this podcast.
Any bunny.
That would be great. I don't know that we are really doing enough to get people excited for this Little Girls release party we have coming up. And Little Girls is a new graphic novel coming out from Image. Actually, it comes out next week.
The 24th.
The 24th. The Wednesday the 24th. So we'll have it. But our release party is on Monday, May 13th. And we're going to have creators Nicholas Oflegi and Sarah Delane. And I apologize if I got his name wrong, but at least I remembered to write it down this time.
Oh, Nicholas and Sarah.
That's right.
Let's just say that.
And it's a release party, and they're doing this tour, and they're getting local bands that they like to come and play at the places there. I was going to say shops, but I don't know if it's all shops. That they're doing these events at, and we will have the bands Catchy. That's Kachi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right either. Or Gentle Heat. I assume I'm pronouncing that one right.
Hopefully.
Who knows? And we will have the information, links to their music is already up on the event page on our website and on Facebook. And it's just that, when we get people who are coming in from out of town, and this is a much more relaxed setting, it's not them stuck behind a table. This is the kind of thing that we think is a more fun type of event, and sometimes we're wrong. So I know it's a Monday night, so that's a weird time, but I really want to try to get people excited for this.
Sure, well, it'll help with the book being out.
Yeah, and that's just the thing. I have not read the book.
Me neither.
I don't recall if we got a preview for that. I don't know that we
so.
did. So by this point next week, I'll have read it.
Yeah.
But I'm very excited for that event, and I would like to show them that Chicago cares. Because Chicago does care. All right, that's enough. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.